worked, then sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all consistent.
You know, it's another great point to bring up is the errors in translation of the text in the Bible. This is something one of our pastors that we are rather fond of and hang out often with. He is like, yo, you need to be looking at the Hebrew.
Or the Greek, yeah.
Or the Greek of the actual Bible. And the reason is because we know God is omniscient, omnipotent, all-powerful being.
Mm-hmm.
And in Genesis, it says that God regretted.
Right.
And we were immediately like,
that would mean that he thought he made a mistake.
Right, which isn't possible for the being. And if you look up the original Hebrew, it doesn't mean literally regret. It meant to be mournful.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a huge problem that, like, you don't really get that kind of stuff unless you're of the faith.
That's exactly like what you were talking about last week, where you can't just say, like, you've read the Bible and now you know that you don't want to be Christian.
No, because there's translation errors. Do I know why they use the word regret in the New International Version or whatever, how many versions no, of course not. Of course I don't know. Do I think you need to learn Hebrew or Greek to read the Bible? No. But that's why we have technology like our phones. That's why we have phones that we can, like, look up the original text and the original meanings and stuff. And that's important as a Christian. And if you're a Christian and you're new to that idea, I highly encourage doing it because it changes a lot of the ideas. Because there's a huge difference between I regret doing this or I mourned that this happened.
Yeah.
Those are very different things.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know that you needed, like, that you could look at the original text and understand the translation better.
For anyone that's curious, you can go to Blue Letter Bible. It's a website and
an app.
And that's where they have the translations.
And it's really cool. It's not even just translation. It's not even like you click the word regret. Oh, it's this word originally. No, it breaks it down. It breaks it down.
Does.
There's a bunch of different Hebrew tenses and, like, there's so many different definitions. And our pastor told me that, like, you need to look up the tense of the word and then there's a corresponding definition with the tense, because some of the definitions, there's like 20 different definitions and they're all, like, pretty much the same, but some of them are, like, really different. So you need to have the right Hebrew tense for the English word so you can get the proper definition. So it's
right. And
it's
it
a whole
goes
process
through every single word. It also finds when it uses one word, you can look at it and see where that same Hebrew or Greek word was used in other spots, and it'll pull up every other time that it was used.
Yeah. I mean, I think our point ultimately is that, like, we struggle to, like, just understand the Bible. It's not like it's not like a textbook. It's not like math. It's not like just a standard book. It's not like a work of fiction either, because I think you agree with me on this. The idea of the Bible and the fact that it's not just written plain as day, like, just like, oh, don't do this, is because if it were written that simply, it might not be easily understood by everyone. It's kind of like we were talking about a couple episodes ago, where, like, a good teacher can explain something in a bunch of different ways.
Sure.
God needed to explain things in a bunch of different ways, but only once.
He also needed to write it for the time.
And for the time that will be.
Yeah, and I think that's important as well, as when you see stuff talking about, like, slavery in the Bible, like, people say that it's condoning slavery. It's like, well, no, if you're at a time when literally everyone has slaves, God says that all people are equal as sons of man, but to those that do have slaves, he says, like, feed them well.
Yeah.
And all these things, like, take care of them.
Well,
which is a revolutionary idea for the time.
Oh, absolutely.
But people take that out of context and say, no, this told you how to be a better slave owner. It supports slavery.
Nope, because if it made you a better slave owner, then we wouldn't have had the problem of slavery. Because the idea is that all men are created equal. And And even if you must enslave, and I think it was because of the times, because it was easily to become indebted to somebody, and the only way to pay off that debt was to be basically their slave.
Or if you're captured in battle or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, that's just how society worked at that time. But even then, God was like, no, everyone's created equal. Like, you don't own another one of my children.
Yeah.
So, but if this is how you so choose to do your, money, however you want to handle debts and stuff, then you need to treat them like they're my child. You need to treat them equally. You need to treat them as if you treat yourself.
And I think the problem is, if God just said slavery's bad, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's too radical.
Yeah.
People aren't going to listen to it.
Yeah.
But what he did do is provide a foundation and a notion of, well, not a notion, but the ability for progress. Because it could over time become what it has become.
Hey, thanks for watching the video. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them down below. And if you liked the video, give us a like. If you really liked it, you could even go subscribe to our channel. And if you didn't understand the video, don't worry, I didn't either. There's a link to the full video down in the description below. Thanks for watching.